extension. So, Shannon, was the Adoree Jackson move by the Giants a big deal or no big deal here?
Skip, can I say I understand why they did it? Considering what Washington has done at the wide receiver position, they have 2 wide receivers now. You upgraded the quarterback position. You look at Dallas and what they have at the wide receiver position with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. You see Philly, they may or may not take a receiver. Devontae Smith is right there at 6. Jamar Chase is there at 6.
Agreed.
Pierre Henry, Jalen Reagor. So I get why they did it. I just think this was a lot of money for a guy I would consider a second corner. A number 2 corner. Malcolm Butler was the number 1 corner. Malcolm Butler was the guy that traveled. And for a guy to get this kind of money, Skip, with no Pro Bowls, no All-Pros, for me, when I watch him play, I just never got the sense like, oh, he that guy. I don't see Jair Alexander. I don't see Marcus Lattimore. I don't see Jalen Rand. I don't see that in him. And I think coming out, everybody thought he was going to be that next big deal at the cornerback position. Skip, they released their entire secondary.
Well, 3/4 of it. They killed, and I don't know why.
They killed Bird, I think that's the name.
Yeah.
They kept one guy. I just don't get. So I get why they did it. That's a lot of money.
You get why the Giants did it.
Why the Giants did it. But, Skip, I don't see him as a difference maker. I never saw him as that in Tennessee. Now, maybe he gets with Bradbury, but, Skip, you know when you go to free agency, the expectation level rise. Because you change team, you got a king's ransom, so they expect you to be $13 million corner. And I didn't see it. Tennessee, what I don't get with Tennessee, Skip, Tennessee let him go, knowing that in order for us to get to our ultimate destination, we got to go through Buffalo, we got to go through Kansas City. All of those trot 3 wide receivers out there, and all 2 have excellent quarterbacks.
Remember, they picked up Adoree's 5th-year option. And then one day before the deadline, where it suddenly vests kicked in at $10 million, they cut him. They cut him?
So he lost out on $10 million and went and got $13 a year. He got $16.5 million in the first year, $13.5 to sign $3 million base.
He won that deal.
He won, yeah. He ain't disappointed that.
Nope.
Maybe because I don't know if Tennessee has state. I think Tennessee doesn't have state tax, so he might have lost that going to New York, Skip. But considering that he had no job after Tennessee released him and go get $39 million over 3 years, he won. But, Skip, I get why the Giants did it, but I don't look at it like, oh, man, he game-changing now. Now, maybe, Skip, if you look at it from this perspective, the Giants' D-line is a lot better than what Tennessee trotted out there. Tennessee couldn't get to the quarterback and save their life. So maybe that made him look a little worse than what he actually is. And maybe with big Leonard Williams and those guys rushing the quarterback.
They gave Leonard Williams a ton of money.
And so, Skip,
remember, Leonard Williams had 11.5 sacks last year.
So maybe, Skip, because it goes hand in hand, pass rush. Corners don't have to hold up as long. Corners really good. The defense get a little extra step to get there. So maybe it pays off. But, Skip, I'm like, okay. If the Giants' defense picks up where they left off last year, this would be a great move. It would be a great move. But that's only if.
Shannon Sharp. Unfortunately, I disagree with everything you just said. And I prefaced it with unfortunately because I'm sorry. I have to publicly admit my Cowboys are getting in deeper and deeper trouble.
But, Skip, you can't look at it just from your Cowboys perspective.
That's all I care about in the world. I care about my Cowboys perspective.
But they got Dak. That was their big piece of pie.
And I tried to get happy about that because at that press conference, Jerry said, and I'm sorry, I got to keep saying it, we still got a big piece of pie. Meaning salary cap pie, because Dak counts only $22.2 million this year. He makes 75, counts only 22.2, and Jerry indicated there's room for maybe 2 significant free agents. Well, obviously, they need to play the other side of the ball because the other side of the ball was all-time bad last year. And my secondary was the worst in the NFL last year. Is there any doubt about that? It was just simply the worst last year. So I need some firepower. I need a move and a move. And I got Keanu Neal, who's a box safety who will probably play linebacker, who does not defend the pass, who's coming off an ACL and an Achilles tear. And they say they're bringing in Malik Hooker and Kazee, the other kid from Atlanta. both coming off Achilles tendon tears. So what's been the Achilles heel of my defense? Safety.
Yep.
So appropriately, we're bringing in 3 safeties who are all coming off Achilles tears, right? Beautiful. Way to go, Jerry. Is that box office? I don't think so. So I wanted moves. I wanted big moves.
You wanted Adoree Jackson?
Here's what I wanted. I got what Pro Football Focus ranked the 2 best deals in free agency. I got it right here. I wanted John Johnson III from the Rams, or I wanted from the Rams Troy Hill, their slot corner, who became a star last year. And Cleveland went boom, boom, bang, bang, and signed both of them back to back. And Cleveland already had a pretty good secondary to start with because they got two pretty good outside corners.
Greedy Williams,
pretty good.
Grant Delpit tore his Achilles.
He tore his Achilles.
But Skip, when I asked you about John Johnson.
I thought John Johnson, you brought it up the first day, and I said, he'll cost $15 million.
Okay.
He cost $10 million. They got him for $10 million a year. And Troy Hill, they just stole. Well, why can't we steal somebody where I say, I got a guy. I got a real guy instead of what Bill Parcells called a JAG, just another guy.
Right.
So all I have to show is an offensive lineman I'd never heard of and 3 defensive linemen, only one of which I'd ever heard of, Brett Urban, and the other 2 I'd never heard of before, and Keanu Neal, who played for the worst pass defense statistically in pro football last year, one that got torched to the tune of almost 800 yards in the 2 games against Brady.
Right.
What am I supposed to do with that when I'm an Adoree fan? I adore him. I'm sorry, I did coming out, and again, you hate Pro Football Focus, but I'm going to hang my helmet, if you will, on that website because they point out that Adoree Jackson has the 4th highest coverage grade since 2018, since his rookie year, when he lines up outside, which is about 86% of the time.
Right.
That trails only Jair Alexander, Richard Sherman, and Stephon Gilmore. So by their grade, something good is happening over there. And I agree that you finally got to the point Tennessee does not rush the passer.
Right.
So they are grading him higher because he's under duress longer because they don't sack the quarterback.
Think about this. The team that sees Adoree Jackson practice every day, play every Sunday.
I don't get it.
Don't grade him like they did.
They cut Malcolm Butler, too, who's still on the market. I'll take him right now. Richard Sherman's still on the market, by the way. They cut Vaccaro, the safety, who I always had some respect for.
I thought he was a decent safety.
Yeah, what are they doing? I don't know. I just know what we're not doing. I know what they did. They just, that's not passive aggressive. That's just flat out aggressive. They just said, we're not good enough. Let's start over. I don't know why. But the Giants benefited from that because James Bradbury made the Pro Bowl last year. So, okay, if Adoree Jackson is the second corner, I'll give you that. It's still pretty good because Jabril Peppers is I'm a big fan. Logan Ryan is really good. And I don't like what he did to Dak, but he didn't mean to do it to Dak. He just yanked him down. It was a front horse collar, but he got him on the ground, and unfortunately, Dak's ankle broke. Okay. They're really good. They were 9th in points allowed last year to start with, the New York defense. That's really good. They were tied for 10th in takeaways. That's really good.
Really good.
That'll win a bunch of football games. And then you add that to Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence and Blake Martinez, who's just a football player. He just sticks his nose in everything. Now you've got something. Now you're able to fight the firepower that we have at receiver and that you just point out with Curtis Samuel, Washington has. With McLaurin and Samuel, they got blazers on the outside. And then that William Jackson III, I'm sorry, I didn't watch the Bengals a lot, but every time I turned the game on, he flashed. He just plays, he's a ball hawk corner that they went out and they got him. And they added him to a secondary and got rid of Ronald Darby, who you don't like, who's now with your Broncos. Okay? So did they get better? Well, yeah, they got, Washington got a lot better. And then weapons for Daniel Jones, Galladay, Slayton, Shepard, even Dante Pettis, who made the big catch that should have been challenged by Mike McCarthy. Then John Ross, he can fly, you know, just as an icing on the cake. Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph. They got weapons. So what do we have? Well, to your initial point, we got Dak back in the saddle. I hope he's happy. I hope he doesn't crumble under the pressure to live up to $164 million. But here's all I know. This is what I'm still clinging to, is his overall record is now, Dak's record is 42-27. I grant you his last 17 are 6-11, but he's 42-27 as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. That's plus 15 games.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is 8-18. That's minus 10, under 500. And for what it's worth, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I assume he's going to start for Washington.
Way under 500.
He's 58-86-1. So he is 27 games under 500. Never been to the playoffs. Daniel Jones, obviously, never been to the playoffs. Dak at least has played 3 playoff games and won one.